Alright, welcome back. Today the plan is to talk about what numbers will work inside of a polynomial. So, like we've been seeing things like 3x squared minus 5x plus 8. And we know that these numbers work, but like what other kinds of numbers can we work with? So, we're going to break this down into two areas where we could talk about the numbers. First, here in the spot for the coefficients, and then also up here for the exponents. Um, Both of those have sort of two different rules, and we're going to talk about those now. And we're going to start first with, why did that just snap like that? We're going to first start with the exponents. So exponents need to be positive whole numbers. If the exponents of what you're looking at are positive whole numbers, it's a pretty good chance that that thing that you're looking at, that function, is going to be a polynomial. Now, coefficients, on the other hand, can be any real number. Any real number. What this really boils down to are no i's. So those of you out there that are aware that I represents the imaginary numbers, basically you just can't have you can't have an I in front of that x. If you see an I in front of that x, it's not a polynomial, but any other number will work. Now I also want to break down how these two things, how positive whole numbers and any real number, are related to one another so that we can get a scope of numbers and the number system that we're working with. So I'm going to talk about that right now. And maybe, we'll zoom out. So the very first numbers we as humans probably worked with, and the first numbers you most likely heard about, are your positive whole numbers. And those are your counting numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on and on and on forever. Those are whole numbers. Oh, you probably can't quite see that because my face is in the way. So let's move it a little bit. So whole numbers, your counting numbers, are the first numbers you experienced as a little kid, counting on your fingers, counting numbers of cars or toys or blocks. Counting numbers are whole numbers. Also sometimes referred to natural numbers, and sometimes, depending on who you're talking to, sometimes zero is included in that, sometimes not. But we're gonna go with whole numbers for right now. And then later on in life, you learned about negative numbers, and we started counting backwards negatively. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. And we kept going backwards like that. And all of these things together, your negative and positive whole numbers, create what are called the integers. And we can multiply and divide, not divide, but we can add, subtract, and multiply all integers, and we just get more integers. Now, when we divide some integers, we don't get another integer, we get rational numbers or fractions. Things like 1/2, 1/3, 3/2, 7/4, 5/9. All of those types of things, those are rational numbers. Rational numbers. But also, there's not just rational numbers in our number system. So we've got rational numbers that sort of hug this. And now, separate from rational numbers are irrational numbers. Let's pick a different color. irrational numbers. Now, irrational numbers and rational numbers don't intermingle. Not how, like, so whole numbers are integers and all the integers are rational numbers. Irrational numbers are something completely different. These are numbers that, when turned into a decimal, are non repeating, non ending decimals, where rational numbers are, as a decimal, repeating. For instance, 0.3 repeated, 0.3 repeating, is 1/3. That's an example of a repeating decimal. Irrational numbers are non repeating, never ending decimals, and the most famous of which is probably pi, and then there is e. Other examples of irrational numbers are the square root of 2, the square root of 5, the square root of 7. Basically, the square root of any prime number will give you an irrational number. And now when we join irrational and rational numbers together, we form what are called the real numbers. So all of these things together form the real number system. I don't know why I made that E lowercase. That's kind of funny. That's the only letter I made lowercase. Makes the real number system. So all of those together, irrational and rational numbers, are all real numbers. But now it's important to realize that the whole numbers sit inside that big circle of real numbers. So when you're asked in making a polynomial, can any real number go in the exponent? The answer is no. Not any real number can go up there, but only positive whole numbers can go in the exponent to make a polynomial. If you were looking to not make a polynomial, by all means throw a fraction, throw a decimal up in that exponent, throw any type of negative number, and soon you won't have a polynomial anymore. I hope this video helps you. If you've got questions, leave them in the comments below. Have a great day.